Hello. I want to just run through the study guide with you for a moment. There's nothing in the video I'm going to say that you aren't also reading in the text, but I know sometimes it's helpful to have these directions explained on a video, also in text, put them together, or one or the other, whatever works for you, good for me. So the study guide, I always try to have that for you available at least certainly a week before, but I try for 2 weeks before the exam so that you can look over it. There's nothing in the study guide that you don't actually already have access to in the modules. The main thing I do for you in the study guide is just kind of pull all the key terms together. So again, your exams are based on the key terms that are found in each of the lectures. And the exam will have a combination of short answer questions and what I call a short answer essay. An essay can sometimes sound scary, and I don't mean for it to sound scary. I just don't have another word for it. It's not a formal essay. It's basically a bunch of short answers kind of centered around a common theme. The exam is the way you show that you studied the lecture. So there aren't, the only way to have really wrong answers is not to answer the question and not to fully explain what you learned from that term, right? So using these key terms, you're going to explain why the key term is significant, maybe how it connects to other parts of the course, other topics in history, causes and consequences, those sorts of things. Now, the exam has 5 short answers and then 2 short essay questions. For a short answer, you should have about a paragraph, right? It's a term, so you're going to answer that in about a paragraph. Because the short answer essays have at least 4 terms in them. They usually have between 4 to 6. Those responses will be about 5 paragraphs. Again, that might sound initially like a lot, but I think you'll find once you go through and explain what each of those terms mean, if there's 4 of them, you already have those 4 paragraphs. They're not, again, there's not an introduction, there's not a conclusion, you don't need transition sentences between paragraphs. You're just explaining what these things mean. And what I've done is I've put them within the context of a question. If that question is unclear, send me an email. I'm not intending to trick you in any way. That's why you have a study guide. That's why it's all open note, open book. There's no time limit. You have a whole week. I really want you to do well on these. And like my ultimate goal is like, yay, you'll learn this material. So I've put it around a question to structure it in that way. But the intention is just to, again, show what you know. So I've given you a couple of sample questions that could show up as maybe a short answer question or as a short answer essay question. These questions might show up on the exam, they might not, but they just give you a basis to kind of what you can expect a question to look like. And then I'm scrolling through here on my computer. I've given you the terms from each lecture. So again, when you get your exam, you can actually use the study guide as a reference. If there's a question on the study guide and you're like, oh gosh, that term, I know I should know it. I know I took notes about it, but it has just jumped out of my head where that term is located. If you go back to the study guide and you look at the bottom of the study guide, I have each of the weeks and all of the terms from that week listed. So you can very quickly find the term and then go to that module in the course. I think I've walked us through. Oh, one thing I haven't said is I cannot stress enough, use the lectures to find the answers to these questions. All of the answers are located in the lectures. I wrote all of the lectures. So when you give specific examples, I know those examples came from lecture because I wrote those examples. I've given you those examples. I've been using these examples for many years. So when you give an example that doesn't come from lecture, I'm going to right away know that it came from someplace else. And you don't want to use any other material because that opens up questions of plagiarism. And so use the material in the lectures. You have to, again, to also avoid plagiarism, rewrite the material in the lectures, right? You need to take what you've learned from the lectures and put it into your own words. You can use specific examples, but then you should put those in quotation marks, all right? And you need to use those sparingly because the whole point is to show that you've learned it, not just that you're cutting and pasting material from lecture. So, I've put that in the study guide. I'll also put it in the exam directions, but you really want to use the material in the lectures in your own words to form your answers. Okay, I think I've kind of given a brief explanation of the study guide, but if you've got any other questions, send me an email, put something in that public discussion board, and I'll get that answered for you. Take care.